Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 35 of Shrigleytube TV. Thanks for everyone that tuned in on Tuesday night. Sorry it was a bit late. We had a bit of a technical hitch with the phone, but we're sorted out now. So it'll be 7 o'clock next Tuesday. We'll do another in-car video with a voiceover. That seemed to go down quite well. Thanks for all the kind comments. Got loads going on tonight in tonight's episode. There's some really good interviews. So hopefully you'll enjoy this week's episode. I'm going to go now because I've already run out of time. I'll speak to you all on Tuesday night at 7. Have a great week. Okay, YouTubers, going back a couple of episodes, you might remember we did some work on James's cylinder head where we recut the valve seats because they weren't quite concentric to the guides. So he left the head with me and I said, look, well, I'll give it a bit of a revamp for you just whilst I've got it. So I put a little bit of weld there, which is where the heads are prone to cracking. It's very, very thin, so when you torque the head down, they tend to crack like a big smile across here. So if you put extra metal there before you torque it down, then there's a good chance that it'll have the strength and it won't ever crack. So that was the theory there, but obviously then I've just given it a minimum skim because it's quite a thin head to start with. You can see there's not a great deal on it. So I've given it a minimum lick. It's just, we talked before about the chamber sagging. You can just see there where it hasn't quite cleaned up the aluminium. I'm not worried because I've machined the groove and the groove cleaned up. I measured the depth before I redid the wheel string grooves. So this head is now nice and flat and all of the wheel string grooves are uniform, so we'll get even pinch when we torque it down or when James torques it down. But the reason for this video was this cylinder was low. The face didn't clean up at first and I was like, oh, it's had a bit of history. And then I thought to myself, I wish I took a video of it before I'd skimmed it, because we could have talked about that. But there is evidence still. So if you look, you can see the valve seat on the inlet 1, 2 and 4 is still encroaching into the squish area. Whereas if we look at this one, you'll see the valve seat isn't actually machined at all. You see that one's machined, that one's machined, and number 4 is machined. Number 3 is low, and what that is when this has had history in the past and number 3 cylinder's got out of control and it's been hit, it's actually bruised the cylinder head. It's like it's quite malleable. You wouldn't believe it, would you? But there's the evidence. So there you go. I'm going to do a bit more work to this. I've got some work to do. Must put some support screws in, and we're also going to recut the spark plug depths to get the plug into the cylinder a bit more, just to try and gain him a couple more cc to help him with his compression ratio. Then he can have this back and get it in his car. Okay, a quick update on James's cylinder head. About to get us in the post to him. So obviously I did talk about this earlier on when it was on the milling machine. I put a slug of weld there to help increase the material strength, stop it from cracking where they always crack, but obviously it hasn't cracked. I've spot faced all of the where the cylinder head bolts sit on the washer, because obviously I did try and put a little bit of a wedge on it. I took more off this side than this side, so we just got to true it all up. I did take a minimum lick off the head face to get it flat again, and obviously we saw the bruising, so it'll seal a lot better now. I've put these little strengtheners in. I don't know if you can see them. I've just put some grey glue on the end so you can't actually see, it's still wet. But there's the little grub screw that bridges the gap between the exhaust port floor and the chamber where it's weak, so that supports the chamber nicely. Obviously we've recut the seats now. He's going to lap them in when he gets it back to his place and make sure they're all seated nicely. But we have took quite a bit of material off the seats, so what I've done, obviously, is because the valve sits lower in the chamber, we're going to lose a little bit of compression. We did have quite a good compression ratio before, so I've just spot faced where the spark plug sit, you can see, and the idea is to just sink the spark plug into the chamber a bit further, just to gain a cc, just to help the compression ratio back up again. So I'm hoping that because we've skimmed a bit of material off the head face and we've also brought the plug further in, the fact that the valves are further down with the seats being cut, it will still have the same compression ratio. So I'll get that in the post to him, and then we'll look forward to seeing him at the NEC, because on the 22nd he's going to be bringing the car along for the stand, so he'll be there for a chat if you want to speak to him. I just got a little bit overexcited because the chap's pulled up to see me about something else, and on the back of his recovery truck's a Mark 1 Astra GTE. Now these were like current when I was a kid. These were the bee's knees. It used to say 1.8 fuel injection on the back. Oh, look at that. It's absolutely stunning as well. It's like brand new. It's factory fresh. This is one of the cars that I need to own, along with a Series 1 RS Turbo. Look at that. Just had a knock at the door, and it's my old mate, Shauno, who did a few weeks working here between jobs. How you doing, Shauno?
I am back.
You're back?
Yeah. Bought you a cake to say thanks. Made it myself.
Honest.
Lemon drizzle, all for you.
Oh, mate, that is amazing. How's your new job? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, mate, all good. All
excellent.
Good.
Do you miss working with me?
Miss it every day.
Oh, I miss you more. Thanks for the cake, mate. That'll be half a second of lap, that. I want to get stuck right into it. Are we in tolerance, Robert?
Yeah, we are.
Belting. This is the cheese crankshaft. We call it a cheese crankshaft because it's just got so many holes in it. With if you look, it's got a bit of a funny shape to the web from the factory, so it has to have quite a bit of work just to get the cranking tolerance. This one. That looks pretty good to me, that, Bob.
Well, still on too far.
Bob, have you ever thought about maybe doing an interview with me on Shrigleytube?
No, I haven't.
Is it something that you think we could take part in one day? We could talk about our history.
I've erased it. We haven't got any.
You've erased it?
Yeah.
Trauma? Who asked you to pipe up? Right, so it's my target, Bob, basically, to come on, get in the camera. I need you to take part. I want a full interview with you, and we'll talk all about, you know, the Vauxhall engines and all that. How do you feel about that? No? Okay. Okay, YouTubers, we've got a visitor outside the workshop today. Lovely sunny day. And it's my mate Alan Kitson and his co-driver Ron Aspinall. So they've come over with the Imp today. It's been parts up, and they thought they had some old fuel issues. It was like being a bit of a pig to start and just been generally a misfiring problem. So I said, well, bring it down and we'll just have a quick waz over it together and we'll see what we can see. So I've changed the coil and a few things. We'll go into that in a minute. So these two are absolutely dying to be on Shrigleytube. not. So this is Alan and this is Ron. I'm sure we've met these guys before. Now they're like co-driver and race driver. Alan's done all sorts in this car. He's done HSCC for years with the historic touring cars back in like the 2000, and then I think he decided he was going to go rallying. It has got a lovely stance, the car. Ron prepared the car for him for years and looked after it, and then Alan always used to crash it, but he always used to crash it on the passenger side. Always my side. Always Ron's side. How are we doing, Ron? We're not going to do any sorry, I forget. We're not going to do any co-driving, are we, this year? We're having a bit of a break.
No, I've quit now.
Retired?
I'm retired now, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I haven't got the energy for it anymore.
No.
It's a long day.
Oh, a long weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
a whole load of fun.
Oh, yeah.
We loved it.
I loved it when I went to Alton Park and watched you at is it Northwest Stages?
Yeah.
That was a cracking day. When you come through the hill chase in the Subaru. In fact, I'm going to try and find, I've got an old phone in my top drawer, my sock drawer. I'll dig it out. I'll try and stop that footage on the end of this interview. That was good.
It's his baby when it's in the workshop. Get behind the wheel and he's a maniac.
Oh, I know. This guy's a good driver. He's on a similar level to myself. Not quite as good.
I'm getting old now.
Give over it. What you mean you're getting old? You want to see some of my customers, pal? They come in with Zimmer frames.
998s.
Oh, mate, as much power as they can get. Yeah. So So Alan, what I was going to say, are we possibly going to see you in Jersey at the Festival of Motoring first of June?
We're talking about it, yeah.
We are, aren't we?
Trying to get Jersey.
I really want to go, but I'm just a bit nervous of the fact that I'm obviously moving units, and I'm not sure how well I'm going to stretch financially. I really want to do Mallory and Brands Hatch in my Imp in the CTCRC, so that could probably consume my time and my spare money this year. But I'll definitely go to Jersey because it's like 50 quid on the flight, and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'll take Russell again. He loved it last year.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'll do is I'm just going to look at the engine. We'll talk about what we've been up to. Basically, because I didn't know what I was doing, I just sort of started changing things. So we started with the rotor arm. So we put your modern rotor arm in, and we got half a tune out of it for about 30 seconds, didn't we?
We did.
And then we put a coil on it, So that sort of got us a consistent misfiring run. So then I put a set of plugs in it, which made no difference. And then I put the carburetors on properly because they were falling off. And yeah, surprisingly, it fired up and ran okay. So what I'll do is I'll stop the video because I'll make a little video of it running, but I can't use a microphone because it can't cope with the noise. It makes it vibrate. Get that. Cracking that. Right, YouTubers, I've just been joined by a chap called Peter. He's brought his engine along to show us. So it's of a very, very special imp this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there will probably remember it back in period racing. So we've got a picture. Well, first of all, introduce Peter.
Hi, I'm Peter. I've got the Heartwell Imp.
The Hartwell Imp. Wow, absolutely amazing. I've just seen a picture of it. Is it on the phone still? I'll try and zoom in. You look at that absolute beauty. There's nothing better than an imp with the 8s and 10s and those good arches on. So brilliant. Right, well, thanks, Peter. What I was going to say was, could you give us a bit of history about the car, when you bought it, what you've done with it?
Well, I bought the car in 82 off Brian Cutting.
All right.
We bought the car from Hartwell, about 79. Raced the car 3 years. I bought the car from Brian Cuttings as a rolling shell. I've rebuilt the car. Then raced mod saloons for 8 or 9 years.
Really?
Yeah, then I go back and I finally retired.
Oh wow, so you was proper up there back in the day with all the... And what was it, all down south circuit? Brands
I used to go to Brands Hatch, Silverstone, Alton Park.
Liddon Hill?
No, not Liddon Hill, no. Just Castle Coomalot, Silverstone. I love Donington, brilliant sucker and imp.
Oh yeah. I love the Craner curves.
The short sucker is really good in imp, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I always think if you come down Craner and get that, what's the corner at the bottom?
Paddock.
Old Paddock. Get that right in third gear up the hill. You could make good progress. Yeah. Getting it right's hard though. I could never ever get Redgate right. I always turn in too early.
Yeah, turn in too early, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and then run out of road.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So what I was going to say, Peter, was that this engine here, we've had a little bit of an issue with oil pressure in the past. So you're happy with the top end? It's all that sealing properly and working okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to just resize the mains tunnel and make sure that all the tolerances are correct for the pinch on the bearings, and then we'll plastigate a crank. I'll do all this in the next few weeks. And this is an engine that you brought along to show me. This looks like it's had a bit of a bad do, this, Peter.
Alton Park one day, going up Bray Hill from what we call Knickerbrook Corner, quite a fast demanding corner, which has never been changed for safety. And bang 9,000 revs, better grab fifth gear, and bang! I thought I'd been shot by a shotgun. It was that loud. It was really loud. Yeah,
I bet there was oil everywhere over the track, wasn't there?
Bit of a mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't like that morning.
No, I bet the rest of the race was.
It's not the race. Yeah.
Oh, that was practice, was it? Oh no, so you didn't get to race. Yeah, you've made a good job of that. If it hadn't been for the head and the crank, I think it might have actually broken into two. Yeah. But that's a tall block. So this was 1150 as well, was it?
It's that engine. It's the first build by Ray in '89.
Right.
Raced for a couple of years and unfortunately let go.
Yeah. And then it's been into a 930 block now. Oh, it's both 930 blocks looking at them. Yeah. And this is a Hartwell 410 cam, isn't it?
Solid cam carrier.
Solid cam carrier, lovely, yeah. And then this is what this crank will be, because it's only on 10 thou regrind is. It'll be a factory blank, and then it's been ground offset to start with, because it's obviously I think it's 66.8 with a 74mm bore, gives you 1150cc, so it's a good compromise. But yeah, the crank looks really nice. I can't see any heat damage or anything from. There was a bit of something gone on here, a bit of rash, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. And
maybe from the first blow, no, that one. Maybe from when it's let go, because the crank was saved, but the rest was just finished.
Oh, so this crank actually survived that?
Come out of that block, yeah.
Right.
That may well be the damage from that episode.
Right. Okay, well, we've had a look at the radiuses, just gone over them with the blade, because it has been reground, and I have to say the radius is beautiful. I can't feel any transition at all there, so that's nice and nicely done. So we may just polish the crank and fit it. Now, something I did want to talk about, Peter, I got really excited about this, was this pulley. Now, you tell me this is the original pulley from Ray Payne, and it's got maximum advance of 42 degrees.
Correct, yeah.
Wow, I mean, they must have had some good leaded fuel back then. Yeah, some aviation fuel or 5-star. Yeah. But what I really liked was, look at the time that someone's took to, you know, I just put a bit of Loctite on the bolts, but someone's really took the time to drill every bolt and wire lock it. And that's just, I love that sort of stuff, where people have made a real effort and thought about what to do. But yeah, so what we'll do is we'll put this all in a box for now, and you can get yourself home and get your gearbox sorted, and then what I'll do is I'll get it built up, I'll run it, and then we'll tie it in and we'll leave it on the dyno, so when you come to collect it we can run it together, and then we'll pull it off and put it in the boot of your car, and you can go and fit it, and I'll see you at a track day some point. Brill. Thanks, Peter, for taking part in the interview anyway. Okay, YouTubers, remember the engine that had the short piston in, the long stroke crank and the short rod, standard rod, sorry, to give us 1200cc inside a standard height block? It was called the Stealth engine. Well, it went off, it's a long story, but it went away to be mapped, and we ran it on the dyno on carburetors just to get a tune out of it. But it never got mapped because the guy who owns it was a bit indecisive about what he was doing with it. So it came back for a cam carrier change, which we went through the other week, which didn't actually happen in the end. So it went back together with the original cam carrier. Anyway, that's another story between me and the customer, but he has another plan with another engine now, which he wants to use other cam carrier on with the fuel injection. So he said, while you're there, take the sump off. We're going to take this bung out, which I put in, which I can only get access from behind. And we're going to change this pulley for a non-crank trigger pulley, because that's also going to go with the bung and the fuel injection to another project that he's got on the go. And I just inside here, and I thought, oh, let's have a little peep inside. Oh, turn my torch on and see how it's all looking. The oil was looking nice and clean. I mean, it's only done dyno time. I was just looking inside here, and oh, there goes no microphone. So yeah, just thought we'd have a little look over it together before I put it back on the dyno, and we'll get a tune out of this tomorrow with some Dellortos on it and a distributor. I'm really looking forward to it, see if we can get some decent torque out of it. Okay, YouTubers, a little bit of Andy treat here, because I was busy trying to build an engine, and I was going to wait till Monday to run this because I wanted to get some fresh fuel. This is the 1200 Stealth engine, but last time we ran it, we just got a tune out of it, made sure it had no leaks. This time we've put some decent carbs on it, decent dizzy, although the advanced curve is all wrong. I've got to change that, it's doing it all far too early. I was itching, I thought I'll just have a quick squeeze and see if it's got any torque, and it's absolutely stonking. So I better turn it off actually, because I can see the air filter thing is falling apart. Sorry about that, I just spotted the rod that holds the air filter back plate was vibrating around, and I thought if that falls off and gets sucked in, we'll be in real trouble. So I've just literally put hardly any advance in it, a load of extra fuel, so it's probably going to be rich, but I thought we'd have a little squeeze out of it and just see if it's got any torque, because it should be mega this. Not at top end, not big horsepower, but just this. Oh, look at that midsection there, it's from 3000. At 4 or 5 it's holding about 90. Let's just go a bit further up. So at 5, doing about 93. So it's good torque, but it'd be even better when we finish twiddling with it. So yeah, that's going to be a real good driver, that. Let's just bring the RPM down. Let's see what it is at 4000. I can't remember where peak torque was on it. About 90. So yeah, it's got good potential, this. I can't wait to run it next week when we get some fresh fuel in it, and we'll sort that ignition out and trim the fuel a bit. It should be quite a powerful engine. Yeah. Okay, YouTubers, we've got a very special guest in the workshop today. He's brought some treasure up to me because he's moved championships and he wants to build a 1040 for this year. So introducing Mr. Adrian Oliver. Hello YouTubers. Right, Adrian is actually an all-time hero of mine, because first time I met Adrian, I was probably about 15 years old at Alton Park. Yeah, you remember it? Yeah. And you were towing the Imp with a Laguna, and it was a fairly new one, I think. And I remember everything about that day. I remember when I met you, I talked to you, and then I followed you over to the assembly area. I remember you revving your imp up before you went out. I'm a proper nerd, aren't I? And the thing that absolutely amazes me, Adrian, is that was obviously like 30 years ago or something. And you still look absolutely exactly the same as the first time I met you.
Sure about that, right? Yeah.
You've not even gone grey properly, have you?
When was that? 92, yeah.
92, wow. So, just obviously, some of the viewers on here will know all about you and know what you've done, but I'd say you're probably the longest standing permanent Hillman racer that's ever been, really, because from 92 to current you've done every year, haven't you?
Yeah.
So just give us a little bit of don't worry about showing off, I do it all the time. How many times have you won the Historic Saloon Car Championship?
Well, I did 3 years on the trot, and then there was quite a gap, and then I got one more win 5-6 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Wow. So 3 years on the trot.
Yeah.
That's some going nice. That's some reliability as well. Fair play to you. You must know how to screw it together properly. And you used to do all your own engines, didn't you?
Yeah. I enjoyed doing them, but keeping on top of things, always check everything, check, and then that seemed to be the recipe that worked.
And you got the reliability for sure. So looking at some of the stuff you brought here, obviously this is a head that we've just chose out of the selection of heads you brought that we're going to try and use as your new head. It's got a nice small chamber, and I think we can do something with that, and it's got 1040 Wills rings in, which is handy. And then this is a cam cover, and I just realised it's an Ian Carter cam cover, isn't it? But someone's painted over the badge. Do you think is that Bevan Blue?
I'm not sure. Could be, but
yeah, underneath there is lurking an Ian Carter badge. And then, do you want to tell us a little bit about this cylinder head? This is a bit special. I'll just give you a lowdown first. It's what they call a Chessman wedge head. So if you look, you can see this side of the cylinder head is really, really thin, and this side is really, really thick. And that was just how they used to do them. And this head has been it's had all of its chambers welded up before it started to get machined, etc. It's quite a work of art, and it's also got a very special Bevan cam cover on it. So tell us a bit about this head. Was this your first head, was it?
Yeah, it was my first race engine, that came out of a hill climb car. So
did you get a few years out of it?
Yeah, that did. I don't know how many seasons that did. I must have done 3 or 4, I think, but every year I'd strip it and check it and rebuild it. But yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's I did try and buy it off him, of course, and he said, oh no, I don't want to sell that, Andy. Right, Adrian, you brought a Prezi for me, haven't you? Look at this. This is I'll clear the way so you can put it on here. This is superb. These are are these signed copies, you say?
Yeah, George signed these
a
few years ago, and I was having a bit of a tidy up, and I thought, I know someone who liked these.
That is mint. I'm going to frame that and put it on the wall.
I tried to find a frame, but
don't worry, I can go to Asda. £3 later, it'll be sorted. Look at that. That's the is that the one that had the BDA in the back?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a beast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's got to be imp powered for me to get excited.
Yeah,
that's lovely, absolutely lovely. Yeah, I'll show that to Jonathan when he next visits. Brilliant. So, last thing was this block. So this is a Bevan 998 block based on a Talbot Sunbeam engine. So we're going to pull the liners out of that and bore it and tissivate it and just make it good again to go with that head. And you've got quite a selection of parts, really, haven't you? I don't think we're going to need to spend too much money.
No, well, hopefully, go through all the stuff. We look to have enough bits to conjure up something that'll do the job.
Yeah. I put a video on the YouTube on Tuesday night all about Cadwell Park when we were all racing there back in the day, like 2011 or something, and it was good times. But obviously you've now decided to go and race with the CTCRC with the rest of the imps, have you?
Yeah, that was it. It'll be nice to get out with a gaggle of imps again.
Absolutely, because it's a shame because the HSCC has been good to us, really. We've had really good times racing with them guys, and they had the best meetings. But I have to say, I went to Brands Hatch last year and I really enjoyed their meeting. And this year they're going to Mallory. Now Mallory is like my all-time, well, every track's my all-time favourite track, but I think Mallory really suits the Hillman. And David Heel won outright there. Yeah, in the CTCRC. So I think there's a good chance that James might do it, or yourself, or someone this year. I'll probably lead and then break down halfway through.
Probably James. I'll just make the numbers up these days.
Saying that, things have changed. Them other cars are so fast now that I don't think the Imps will probably have a chance. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Well, thank you very much for taking part in Shrigleytube, Adrian, and I'll look forward to getting this all sorted for you, and get yourself some popcorn ready for Sunday night.
Yeah, of course. What else do you do on a Sunday?
Brilliant. Cheers, Adrian. Right, I've just come out for a ride out to Lower Moss Road because Bergerac has rang me and said he's got something for me and it's free. So I've got my trolley. I'll just sneak up on him and see what he's up to. Look at you pretending to work. What's going on? Is this what you've got for me?
Yeah, it's a little present for you. I thought you might appreciate it. Yeah.
Hey, it's made out of iron.
Yeah.
What am I going to use it for?
It's very early iron. It's from a Mark
Is it?
1.
Is it a free?
18 GB. It's a 5 bearing.
Oh, it's not a free bearing.
It's not a 3 bearing, but it's an early one, so they're quite rare, quite sought after. I saw it and I thought of you.
You thought of me? Well,
Yeah. Not seized.
MGB engine, is it? Wow. Twin SUs.
Yeah, very
Awesome.
posh. I'm
Awesome.
afraid you can't have the gearbox.
What's special about that
for me.
gearbox?
Well, that's a 3 synchro box off the early ones. So
With
that's
overdrive as
going in
well.
line. With overdrive as well, yeah.
So while we're here, Bergerac, what treasure have we got here?
Oh,
What is this?
Exciting. Nice
Oh
patent
my
blue.
word.
Patent blue.
Black bumper.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a rubber bumper car. I know what you're suggesting.
You got another one here?
Yeah, nice little roadster.
What are you up to here?
New rocker shaft time.
Where's the camshaft? Honestly,
You're hilarious, aren't you?
doesn't it have a camshaft? Is it two-stroke?
Must be a 2-stroke, I think. Yeah.
So how does just explain to me how does that engine work then? Mate, it's got some big clearances, that one.
It is a bit noisy, the top end, yeah.
Is it? Crikey. Oh, it's a roadster.
It's a roadster, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Progress has been stuck for about 15 years or something like that. So.
Alright, very good, very good.
Yeah, it's not too bad actually. It's been restored at some point.
What year is it?
I don't know, 77, 78.
Oh, is it?
It's a rubber bumper.
Yeah. Very nice.
It's an earlier one because it's still got the metal dash rather than the
Alright.
rather than the later plastic one.
Wow. Well,
Yeah, all good fun.
mate, you've
Anyway, I
what's-
hope you appreciate your birthday present.
Le Mans. Oh, is that my birthday present, is it?
Well, I guess so.
Oh, mate, thank you so much. I honestly, I'm touched by that. It's the first thing I've had off you for free. Which is, what I really want is this.
No, you're not having that.
Look at that picture. It's just got so much going on.
I think that came off the wall of Garner Motors in town about 40 years ago.
That could be little Dougie and little Russell there. Messing around. Oh, what a brilliant picture. I love that picture. Can you leave it to me?
You'll arrange my murder though, that's what I know. I know what
Mate,
you're
I
like.
think you'll outlive me, that's for sure. Right, thank you very much. Good morning, YouTubers. Today, this morning, we're going to put together a Dellorto carburetor. Now, I've already cleaned this. I've stripped it last week, and it's brother's over there, which I've assembled this morning. I've had it in the ultrasonic tank, so it's all nice and clean. I've checked it all over. It's in perfect working order. I really like these Dellorto DHLA 40mm carburetors. They are like a Swiss clock. They are beautiful. Now, obviously, I'm not actually a carburetor expert. I just know enough to put them back together. So if you are an expert and you are watching this video, please don't be offended if I blunder. Just correct me in the comments so I can get a learn. Anyway, this is the kit. This is the SKD 22101, which I purchased from the Green Sparkle company for about 30 quid or something. Brilliant kit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the kit up and we'll have a look at what's inside first. We'll go through it together. So obviously that's the new needle valve, so we can replace that. Now if you are going racing, what I'd recommend is, although that is nothing wrong with that and it works with 4 psi fuel pressure absolutely fine, you can buy an uprated needle valve which has got a Veton tip on it, and they fit them in the DHLA turbo for the Lotus Esprit turbos. So if you Google it, you'll find several companies sell them. You can buy an uprated one, and you can run like 6 psi, then absolutely no issues. Now with an Imp only having 100 horsepower, it only needs to run like 3 psi or 2 psi, so we don't need to worry about it. But if you've got a set of 45s on a big Pinto or something, where you're pushing double the horsepower, you might want to be thinking about running the Veton tipped needle valve, and they come in bigger sizes. This is a 150, so obviously you probably run like a 225 or 200 in a bigger engine. Just about controlling the level in the float, that's all it is. So we get a nice schematic there on how it goes back together, and on the back here we get like a list of what's in it. And the kit that I've got here is the 101, which is a DHLA service with a 150 needle valve. So we don't need that, we'll put that to one side. We'll get the blade, and what we'll do is we'll have a look at what's in the packet. Now the first thing you'll notice is that the kit comes with 2 float chamber gaskets. Now that's the original style with these 3 big holes in them, and this is what they call an anti-tip gasket. So I'd recommend you use this one over this one every day of the week. So we'll put that to one side. This one is really good, but what happens is, if you're going racing and you do a bit of curb hopping, you know, bouncing it over the curb because you want to try and take the best line, what could happen potentially is that the fuel, it tips over the top of the air correctors which are in the top of the jets here. So as it tips over, the car will go fluffy mid-corner. So by using these anti-tip gaskets, we eliminate that problem. So always use that one over the old school one. Obviously that's the gasket between the carburetor and the air filter. That's the gasket that goes between the, we'll call that the diaphragm plate. I'll go through that in a minute, how that all works. Not got a clue what these are, look like they're off an SU carburetor. That's for the vent for the top. So you have a little vent for the top of the air correctors, top of the main jets and the slow running jets. Obviously, oh, the microphone fell off. We've got a new diaphragm. That's great, nice and soft. And then these 2 fibre washers, they go either side of the fuel banjo. So that's great. Now the bits that are in here, what I'm going to do is I'll make a bit of space and we'll open out this paper and we'll just tip these onto the paper so we can see them properly, because there's quite a few different types of washer and O-ring in there. Right, these ones, these big orange ones, these are dead simple, these ones. Bring this, oh, that wasn't very clever, was it? Right, these big orange ones, these go on these big brass cheese things which basically clamp down on top of the pump jet. So we'll do all this together when we come to put it together. The aluminium washer, that one is for the needle valve, and then in this selection of washers here, we'll put them on a bit of white so you can possibly see them. We've got some different sizes. Now the 2 big ones, they go on the slow running jet. So you see the slow running jet has an O-ring there, and when that cracks and goes all hard, then it draws air past. You don't get good idle. So we'll always replace them. And then we've got 2 medium sized ones. Now these ones go underneath the slow running jet. It's slow running mixture screw. So this screw, which is where you adjust the slow running, it's got like a needle on the end of it, you can see that. This goes in here, and we've got one for each choke. So we'll go through all that together, and we'll cover all the different O-rings as well as we come to assemble it, because I'm going to end up overlapping and doing everything twice at this rate, and we'll be here till dinner time. Right, so this is a lovely carburetor. Now if you've got a set of these, you're very lucky. Now the first thing I like to check is hold them up against the daylight. Now I can just feel it, they are shutting beautifully. if these cheesehead screws have got marks in them because they're very soft, they've been tampered with, there's a good chance they've had a bearing replacement or something. Now, this is all factory. I haven't touched this because basically, if it wants to be meddled with, they're never quite the same. If you need to tighten these nuts up, you only pinch them, and the best way of doing it is there's 2 flats on that washer. You see the 2 flats there? Get a big pair of adjustable. You don't want to be holding it this end and tightening it this end, because what happens is it twists the shaft, and then when we come to close the carburetor, one carburetor closes more than the other. Subsequently, when you're trying to set the idle up on the dyno or in your car, you end up with one carburetor further ahead of the other, or one half of the carburetor further ahead of the other, and you never quite get the idle right. Now, with an Imp being such a small engine, this is a big carburetor for a little engine. So, you know, if you break a 1 litre Imp down, that 40mm butterfly is feeding a 250cc cylinder. So if it doesn't shut down properly, you won't get the idle speed down. So obviously with this Dellorto, the first thing we're going to do now, look through the holes, and we can't see any light. I'll just shine the torch just to prove it. So get the torch, oh yeah, they're good as gold, they are. If I start to open it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Can you see the light? Right, okay, so the carburetor closes lovely, and we can tell that all the butterflies are seating nicely, so I'm happy with all that. That's all going to be good. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to put the chokes in. So the choke goes first. Now, I've selected some 32mm chokes. Normally we'd run like a 30mm choke on an Imp, but this is going on the Stealth 1200cc engine, so it's a bigger engine, so it's got a little bit of a bigger cylinder, obviously being 1200cc, so we're on like 300cc per pot. So the choke just slides in. It's got like a location there that lines up with a peg. Next is the Venturi. Now it obviously has 2 sides, a dimple in that side that locates in a screw here, and this side is where the fuel comes through from the main jet circuit. So when you come off your slow running circuit, which is, whoops a daisy, that one there, I'll tell you what, we'll come to that in a minute. All the fuel on wide open throttle comes down this hole, and it enters the carburetor through here to be, you know, like atomized. So you can see it has a peg there. So literally line that up with the peg, put that one in there. Same with this one, hole. Always check this hole's clear. I have had an engine that went on to 3 when you went wide open throttle, and it took me ages to suss out. When I removed these, there was a tiny bit of what I think it was like, it looked like plastic bag, and it was wedged in there and it was restricting the flow. So yeah, that was a testing time. There were plenty of those, but there you go. So if it's all cleaned properly, you shouldn't have any issues like that. Right, so the first thing, we have these little torpedoes. You'll have noticed those when you strip yours. They're like a grub screw with a dome on the end of them. So because this particular carburetor has a peg that lines the choke up, we know that it's all lined up nicely. On the Webers, you have to sort of self-align them. That's another story. So we just pinch them. We don't want to absolutely wrench them because it'll just deform the Venturi. So just give them a gentle pinch. And then what we have is 2 lock nuts. So we'll get those. And these lock nuts, we just screw them on the outside. And again, we don't need to swing on any of this. It's all in lovely, gentle aluminium castings. So just pinch it. Oh my goodness, what is going on? Throwing spanners everywhere. Right, so just give them a gentle pinch. So that's the chokes and the Venturis in. Right, we're going to start with the bottom half of the carburetor. So the next part that goes on is the pump plate. Now on the bottom of a Dellorto, it uses a diaphragm for the accelerator pump. Now on the Weber that we did a few months ago on Shrigleytube, you might remember it had like a piston that with like a we call it a hockey stick that came up, and it worked on a cam on the spindle. So as you open the throttle, the piston used to push down, or does push down, sorry, and squirts the fuel into the pump circuit, so that you get like we call it accelerator pump, just to help the engine pick up before it's got any airspeed, so in the carburetor. So the Dellorto is a bit more refined than that. It's got this lovely, oh, I'll just take this phone call, excuse me. Right, sorry about that. So I was just saying the Dellorto uses the diaphragm as an acceleration pump jet. So in this pump plate here that bolts on the bottom of the carburetor, there is a little one-way valve. You can see inside it's got a little silver ball, and if I rattle it, you can just hear it floating around inside. Now there is an O-ring on there, but it's obviously had a bit of an hard time being saturated in fuel all its life, so what we've got to do is use a blade and just gently separate it and flick it off, ready for the new one to go on, which is easier said than done. I'll try and not cut my finger off, that wouldn't be ideal. Right, I've popped it off. So if we lay that down on here next to the rest of them, you can see the only one that's even going to entertain fitting is one of the bigger ones, which we get two of for some reason. So that's the new O-ring there. We'll roll it over. So that's the new O-ring fitted. So this, dead simply, it screws in here. And now what this does is, obviously the diaphragm, as it gets depressed, it'll push the fuel one way, and then as it comes back on its spring, it'll draw the fuel back. So what this little ball does is to stop the fuel from flowing back the wrong way. So it only ever squirts and then refills the diaphragm, drawing from the opposite side, ready for the next pump. So there's a little hole that feeds it, you can see. So this goes on here like that with a new gasket, and then I prepared my 4 little screws. Oh, that was silly, wasn't it? That's the wrong screw. It's these ones. So these 4 screws, and they have a little wavy washer on them as well, if you can keep all them together. Just nice that it goes back as well as it went together. I'll quickly tighten that up, try not to take too much time. And then the next thing that goes on is the diaphragm with the spring. So we can see here, this is a new diaphragm, nice and supple. This is the spring. Now the spring should, doesn't actually, the original ones used to sit on there and clamp, but this one doesn't. So you can see in the middle of here, there's a little crisscross. That's where the spring sits. So the spring sits on there, keep the pressure on, and then I haven't took all this apart, but this is basically the actuating rod and the pump lever. So that goes on there like that, and then it has these smaller M4 screws that hold that on, which I've got ready. They also have a little wavy washer underneath them. So beautifully made, these carburetors. You just can't believe, you know, for what they cost, you can pick them up for like 400 quid if you find the right set. I'd always urge you to look at the butterfly screws and decide if someone's mangled them or messed with them. If it looks like they're unmessed with, then they're definitely worth the money. But you could be into the same money again to sort them out by the time you've bought trumpets and, you know, the correct chokes and jets, etc., to make them run, and obviously a rebuild kit. Now you can see now how it works, although it's not working. That's worrying, isn't it? Oh, it's not working. That's not very good, is it? It must be set wrong in the first place. Right, leave this with me a second, I'll come back to you. Right, sorry about that, bit of bad planning. This little lock nut here and this adjustable screw basically adjust the start point from where the throttle action operates the diaphragm. So you can see now, by moving the screw up, we've adjusted the start point. This is another good thing about Dellorto. You can really fine tune the pump circuit, because of the acceleration pump circuit, we should call it, because obviously we can adjust the length of the stroke and also the size of the jet. So you can if you've got the time and you understand the job, you can really perfect it. So I've just basically moved it further up to adjust its start point. It's possible that the new diaphragm had a slightly different nose to the original one. You see the length of this brass part here. So something's changed in it, which meant that it didn't work when I went to try it. Right, anyway, next part to do. Very important part, this. We're going to do it first together. Now, in my selection of parts here, I have two balls, for want of a better word, ball bearings. Now these work on the pump circuit. So that diaphragm we just shown there, the fuel comes up. Let's just put the ball down. Obviously it takes its fuel from the float chamber, and then it pumps the fuel up this hole here, and it goes across to here and into the pump jet, which fires fuel forwards on acceleration. Now, because there's a partial vacuum in here, now I've only been educated very recently on this, we have to have this little ball that sits in a seat at the bottom as a valve, so that once it's finished doing its pumping, it doesn't constantly drip fuel into the cylinder. So if you've got constant fuel dripping in your cylinder, it could be that the ball has got muck on it, or it's not sat properly. So there's plenty of holes here, but it's these two outer ones. These ones on the outside, that's what holds the float chamber on, and this middle one is for the choke. But we'll come to that in a second. So I'll do both the balls first. We can actually pick them up. Oh my word, what is going on? Shape yourself, Andrew. Right. It's these plastic gloves and my poorly foam. That's my excuse. So this is the second ball. That just drops in there. And then, I call these torpedoes, but that's not the correct name for them. So you can see this little torpedo has a spring on the top. Not all of them have that little spring on the top, just some of them. And oh, Gordon Bennett. Right, I'm in dangerous mode today. So that little spring sits on there, and then this part of the torpedo goes on top of the ball to give it some weight. So that's in there, and then we've got another one, goes in the other one for the other choke. And then we have two little plugs, little brass plugs that go on top. Let's get them in before I lose them. Now when you strip the carburetor for cleaning, what I suggest you do is do it over a biscuit tin, because that way anything that falls out of them, as you're learning, you can capture it and then trace yourself back, because there's nothing worse than something going ping and going, what was that? Did you see where it went? I didn't see. Anyway, that's the two bungs on there now. So the next part we're going to put in, just to simplify the middle of all this. Now this is to do with the choke circuit. I don't actually know what it is. It's obviously a jet of some type, but this is where the choke is for the manual choke. So it's been cleaned. Put that in the middle hole there. And then the next thing we'll do is these holes here. Can you see these holes? I'll just zoom in a second. In the bottom of here, can you see these are called like progression holes? Now these are different on all different carburetors, but if you look, when we're on small throttle openings, these holes become open. So when you rev the engine gently, just off idle, this is where the carburetor delivers its fuel to the engine, because at this stage there's not enough airspeed to drag the fuel through the main venturi. So we have to start it off on these little holes. So these progression holes are covered by these two brass bungs, which we'll put in the top now. And this is all fed on the slow running circuit. which we'll come to in a minute. So these two smaller jets are your slow running jets and the holders. So the jet comes out the bottom there. This is on a 55, and the holder has a number on it, which unfortunately my poor eyesight can't read at the moment. Now these live in this hole and this hole here, and you can see it'll draw the fuel. Oh gosh, what am I doing? Live in this hole and this hole. Oh, we're still on zooming, aren't we? Whoops. This hole and this hole. And then you can see the drilling goes across to here, and then it goes forward to here where we've just seen the holes for the progression, and then we have this here, which is where the slow running mixture adjustment screw goes. So we'll pull these back out again, because what we've got to do is we've got to change these O-rings. See these two O-rings, and they are on here, the next two biggest ones, so that one and that one. So I'll do that off camera because it'll be painful with the blade. You've got to sort of like cut these off and then slide them over. Right, so I'll do that now and then we'll put them in. Right, we've got the two new O-rings on the slow running jets now, so these can go in these holes here. And then next we're going to do the slow running mixture adjustment screw. Now if you do go and look at buying some of these carburetors in person, always worth checking that these screws aren't seized, because quite often you'll see on a pair of Dellortos like hacksaw marks and where they've tried to chop them down because the thread is really fine in there, and obviously the carburetors are quite old now, so if the thread gets corroded, they can pick up, and normally the giveaway is the top of the screw is all mangled and you know it's not worked properly, basically it's all gone stiff. So you can see how, I'll do a zoom in again, you can see how fine the it's not even wanting to zoom in there, is it? Stupid phone. Anyway, yeah, so there's the needle, the slow running screw, the spring. Next it has a washer, it's a very, very small washer, goes on like that, and then the last thing it has is this O-ring that sits on the end like that. If we can just get it on, there you go. So can you see that? We've got the screw, the spring, the washer and the needle. I'll just come out of zoom because it doesn't appear to be focusing very well. So do that for both of them, and then what we'll do is we'll just get some lubrication, some oil, and we'll just drown them in oil, because obviously I don't want these to ever seize up and be a problem. So put a bit of oil on there, a bit on there, and then they go in there like that. Make sure it all stays together. Don't want the O-ring getting trapped to one side at the bottom. It's quite tight, that might have to give that a fettling. That one's quite nice. Just take it out again and make sure everything's correct. I've got no nail on that thumb from when the grinder got me. Yeah, it's all correct. It's just a little bit tight, the thread. We'll just work it gently and hopefully it'll back off. Right, I'll take a bit of time to do that off camera. So right, next bit we're going to do is the pump jet. Now this is obviously, we've just been talking about the diaphragm and how all that works. So these O-rings here, we're going to replace them as well, because obviously that's what stops the jet from dripping constantly into the carburetor Venturia. Ooh, Gordon Bennett. So pull those two O-rings off. I can feel they're absolutely rock hard. And then these last two here, pop on there like that. And then a good way of, I've obviously put these in the ultrasonic cleaner, so I'm pretty convinced they'll be clean. But if you want to test one, just get your brake cleaner, pump the pressure up a bit, try and use your fingers along the sides, because you have actually got 2 little slots in each side there. Hold the so you can see the jet away from your face, because if it comes out and hits you in the eye, it'll hurt you. So you can see there, that one's clear. Same with this one. Perfect. Right, so if you look on here, you've got a flat, so the flat goes to the back, so that the hole points forward towards the butterfly. Yep. That's one. God, shape yourself, Andrew. That's number 2. And then these lovely big cheese-headed screws hold them in. And on here we should have 2 nice big orange fibre washers. Obviously 1 on each, like so. And that's, we're not far off now. Completing the bottom half of the carburetor. We've got the float chamber to do, and then what we'll do is we'll run it up on the dyno together on the 1200cc engine. That'll be fun, that'll be the good bit. Right, so something I've neglected to put in is these 2 brass, I don't know what we'll call them. They look like some sort of air correction thing, but they're not drilled all the way through, so they don't actually do anything. It's obviously a drilling that would have been important for some other part of the carburetor that's not fitted to this particular model. I think I'm right in saying that anyway. So we'll put those in. We've got the return spring to put on the carburetor as well. Now there's different kits. Oh, there's a knock at the door. Right, okay, sorry about that. I was just about to say we have different kits available. Now this kit is a basic kit that comes with the needle valve, etc. But there is a posher kit that comes with all new springs and stuff. So we're going to reuse the throttle return spring on here, because this kit for whatever reason didn't come with a new one in. I'm not concerned. These aren't like the Weber ones where they break, they can jam. These don't seem to ever have a problem, these Dellorto ones. So right, this is the float chamber lid then. The first thing we're going to put on it is our anti-tip gasket. That's dead simple. And we've got a washer that sits there, and the new needle valve. This one is a 150, which is perfect for the Hillman. So that goes in there. It's a 12mm hex. Just tighten that up. Again, you don't need to swing on it, but just gently nip it. Now I do like the floats on the Dellortos. It never ever seems to be a problem. With the Webers on the brass ones, we seem to see a lot of problems with the floats taking on fuel, but these plastic Dellorto ones just don't ever really seem to be a problem for whatever reason. So if you can see there, the needle has a little hat on it with a spring that sits in there like that, and then we just literally offer that up to the hole, let it drop in, and then holding that like that dead gently, there's a bar. Now if you look, you'll see we've got one side has got a slit in it. That's the side that's pinched, and this side is clearance, so that the rod always goes in from this side. It should slide in gently, and then when it gets to the other side, you can see it's just protruding a little bit. Using your thumb to support this side, because these can break off, I just very, very gently tap it with a screwdriver until it's level. We know it can't come out because when it's in the float chamber, it's surrounded each side by the casting there. So that's the float done. The needle height shouldn't have changed, but I will be checking it once it's in the on the engine and running, what I do is I'll run it with the fuel pump on, turn it off after it's idle for a few seconds, and then what I look for is I like the fuel to just be up to this top of this radius here, and that's my height. I know that that's ample amount, blah de blah. You can use all different types of measurements off the internet to measure from here to here and here to here and here to here, but honestly the best way, go for top of that radius, same rule for the Weber, and you won't go far wrong. Right, pop this on here then, and that is, oh no, it's not done. I'll just pop one screw in for the time being. So that's got the identification tag on, so I just put that next to the fuel banjo, because we're not going to put all the screws in because I've got to put the linkage kit on, but I'll do that when the carburetors are on the manifold and we're building it up with the engine. So I'll just pinch that gently. Now the next bit to do is the choke. Now this is, remember that jet we saw in the middle? This is the obviously the cold start circuit. It'll just, I don't know how it works, but it'll obviously introduce more fuel into the carburetor. And if you look, you can actually see from the design of the carb, this plunger must open up a separate fuel circuit, which introduces air and fuel down these two channels here, and it comes out of these two. Right in front of the camera, Andrew, for the customer to see. So that's where the fuel comes out there. Now what goes on top of here next is a spring and a little brass hat that holds it all in position. I just got some oil there. I'll just run that round inside the top, because obviously it's been dry, so that's nice. Now it's got a bit of lubrication. So there's the spring, and there's the hat. Has a little cross in it, that goes in there, that goes on there, like that. Just tying that up, and that's a 16mm. That spring, that basically keeps the plunger pushed down so the choke is in the off position. It does also have a hairspring on here, but you can feel it's got quite a bit of tension now. So that's all good. That's all good. Last thing to put on, the fuel banjo. So this is the banjo. We have two different sizes of fibre washer. The big one goes on there, and then this is the other good thing about a Dellorto. These are really good for catching any debris in the outside of that banjo housing there. Little filters. Then you have the smaller hold washer. Fibre washer goes on there, and this is the carburetors for cylinders 3 and 4. So the fuel comes in from the back of the engine on an Imp. So we always put the split banjo on there, like that. So that is, in a nutshell, your Weber carburetor put back together for the beginner's guide. Sure, there's more information available on the internet if you want to know the ins and outs of how it all works, but that's the basics. Right, we'll get this slotted onto the manifold, and hopefully we'll get a tune out of this today. Okay, now one part I didn't do on the carburetors that I wanted to do on the bench, but I forgot, was to test the pump circuit. So I've learned how to put the torch on the camera now. So obviously you can't see down there, but I'll reset the camera and I'll do a little video so you can see the pump jet, which was the diaphragm underneath pushing the fuel into the engine on acceleration. Okay, here we go. I've learned how to use the camera with the torch. Now, to be able to see, can you see the pump jet flirting the fuel forwards there? That's the butterfly at the top. Brilliant bit of design, that, isn't it? Okay, YouTubers, hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. Look forward to seeing you all at Tuesday night at 7 for our voiceover of the in-car. Bye for now.